Good morning, guys. It's Thursday. It's day 4 of this quilt challenge. And I have my tips for today right here. And I haven't looked at them yet. I haven't opened them. I don't want to open them this morning. Only because my brain does not want to be responsible for what's inside of this email. I'm still sewing my blocks. And yeah, I know the next step is going to be piecing all of this together, but I'm just like, let me get all of these blocks done. I did go to bed after, well, just quit sewing after that post I made in my stories at almost 11 o'clock, and the quilt still looks the way it does. As far as cutting the squares and everything, I should have had that 100% done earlier, because what did set me back was starting to do the blocking and then realizing, oh no, I don't have enough of the white squares. So with that, I guess my pattern, I should have had that done sooner, and colored so that I can count and see how much I actually had. So anyway, lessons learned, my first quilt, first time doing this. And yeah, I'll just keep on working on it. I don't know if this is still going to be a 5-day challenge. Because 5 days is tomorrow. But I'm going to keep going and do as much as I can. And yeah, we'll see what happens by tomorrow evening. Alright guys, I'll see you a bit later today. Bye.
Hey guys, I really hope you're enjoying this challenge. I had so much fun working with Sherry of Sodium Content to put this whole personal challenge of mine together. You can find this entire challenge and all of the tips on her blog at sodium.com. The link is also down in the description box. Also, there is a part 1, so if you missed it, check it out here. Sherry's day 4 tips are all about piecing. Typically in quilting, you sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Try to have all of your seam allowances stay close to 1/4 as much as possible. This helps to make sure that your blocks line up accurately. So while I was sewing this, I had a few things go on that compromised my seams. First, I used 2 different sewing machines while piecing all of these elements together. And then I used a 1/4 seam allowance quilting foot on a part of this quilt, and I realized that the 1/4 seam allowance foot was smaller than actually using the edge of my presser foot. So my seam allowances were inconsistent, and it kind of made me worry that my pieces weren't going to fit together. But in the end, it all worked out. The next tip for today is all about chain piecing. I actually used this technique when I sewed together my half square triangles, and I continue to use it throughout all of the elements of this quilt. Here's how it looks. Chain piecing is a technique used to continuously sew your blocks together in a line without lifting your presser foot. You'll see that I lift mine just a little bit. The end result looks like a long garland banner. Once you finish the chain, cut your threads between the blocks.
Hi guys, good morning. Today is Friday. Today is day 5 of the 5-day quilt challenge. Today's tips are in. I will be sharing them with you soon. Really, how many of you saw this who are quilters and said, this girl only thinks she's going to make a quilt in 5 days? Oh my goodness. I'm still piecing and putting all these pieces together. Oh my goodness. Regardless of how today ends with this quilt, it's going to get finished. I mean, whether or not it'll get finished is not a question, because I mean, I really did enjoy this. I enjoyed making quilts more than maybe I thought I would, and I'm going to share all of my thoughts tomorrow, possibly with one last look at how this quilt is looking. It's quite pretty, the whole thing, I think. Alrighty guys, day 5 tips coming up. Bye.
So by day 5, I really had to make some decisions about how much of this quilt I was going to have done for my personal quilt challenge. I'm not going to use all of day 5's tips, but I am going to use this one. So let's take a look. Number 1, the quilt backing needs to be at least 2 inches longer than the batting. The batting should be at least 2 inches longer than the quilt top. So as you move from the top of the quilt out to the back layers, it should be progressively larger. Usually these measurements are more, for example, 3 to 4 inches, if you plan to have your quilt quilted by a professional who uses a long arm machine. By this time, day 5 has come and gone, but I'm feeling very motivated to finish this quilt top. So all of my blocks are sewn, all of my piecing is done, and now I'm sewing together the 4 columns that I've created. So with all of those slightly different seam allowances that I sewed on the pieces and the blocks throughout this whole process, I did have a little bit of struggle matching up all of my seams on this column. It really didn't seem like everything would match, but with a little bit of maneuvering at the sewing machine, it all worked out. All right, here it is, the finished quilt top. I am very, very proud of me for getting in here and finishing this. I thought I'd have major challenges with this. When these were still in panels, it didn't seem like these would line up, but they did. They actually did line up. It took some maneuvering. You can kind of see how the fabric is kind of like puckering right there. That's because this particular fabric, it's an apparel fabric, it's denim, but it's also very stretchy. So I was able to get things to kind of line up by stretching the fabric. But you can see like here, how there's some areas that just didn't line up as well. I'm really happy with it. I think it's very pretty and I hope you like it too. All right, bye guys.